this baby shower. Right. Honestly, I don't even like her that much. And it's not just because of what happened. I'm speaking for myself now, but I always found Brielle a bit much. She's one of those people who's always on, like, she's performing her happiness. You know, the type. I'm Alara, by the way. And I'm 29? Anyway, the invite came. And what was I going to do? Not go. Lucas, my husband, was close to her husband. Ben? They worked together. Something about logistics for a big shipping company. Ben was his ride or die. A good guy. Honestly, one of the few friends of Lucas's I could stand. The rest were, well, let's not go there. Lucas wanted to go. It was a big deal for them. Their first kid. He kept talking about how important it was to be there for them. How we needed to show up. He was all about that. You know, being a solid friend. It's one of the things that I used to like about him, I guess. He has this way of making everything seem so significant. Like you're part of something bigger. At the time, I just rolled my eyes. But looking back, I get why he was so into it. He needed that feeling of being a good person, a good friend, a good everything. I'm standing there, sipping some sparkling cider, surrounded by a sea of pastel balloons and tiny onesies. Everyone is oohing and aahing over Brielle's baby bump. She was glowing, or at least she had that pregnancy glow everyone talks about. I was just trying to stay in the background, making small talk with people I barely knew. I was getting pretty good at that over the years. The art of appearing interested. My phone vibrated in my purse. It was a text from Lucas. He was running late from a work thing. Of course. He was always running late. It drove me crazy. He'd tell me he'd be home at 6, and I'd be waiting. Dinner getting cold, and he'd stroll in at 7:30 with a vague excuse about a last-minute project or traffic. It was never a big deal to him, but it was to me. It felt like he didn't respect my time, like my plans. My dinner didn't matter as much as whatever he was doing. I just put my phone away and tried to focus on the conversation I was having with some woman named Carly, who was telling me about her 2-year-old's potty training journey. The whole time, I was just thinking about Lucas, about how he was probably going to show up all frazzled and apologetic, and I'd have to pretend everything was fine. It was this little dance we did. He'd mess up. I'd get mad. He'd apologize. And then I'd give in because it was just easier than fighting. A little while later, Lucas finally walks in. He's wearing this brand new button-down shirt that I hadn't seen before. I noticed because he usually wore the same 3 shirts to every family or friend event. He always said he didn't care about clothes. But here he was, in a crisp blue shirt that made his eyes pop. He gives me this big, goofy grin. And for a second, I almost forget I was annoyed with him. Almost. Sorry I'm late. Baby, he whispers, leaning in to kiss my cheek. You look beautiful. I just gave him a tight smile. You look nice. New shirt. He just shrugs, a little too casually. Yeah, picked it up the other day. Saw it and thought, why not? The rest of the shower was a blur. Lucas was in his element, laughing with Ben, shaking hands with all the guys. He was so easy with people, so charming. It was one of the things that initially drew me to him. I think he just lit up a room. But lately, it felt like he only lit up rooms that weren't our apartment. We were getting ready to leave, and Lucas was in the kitchen, grabbing a piece of cake for the road. I was by the front door, looking for my purse. I couldn't find it anywhere. I started to panic. I was sure I had it when I came in. I felt my stomach drop. What if I lost it? What if someone took it? Just as I was about to really freak out, I saw it. It was on the floor, half hidden under a table near the entryway. I sighed in relief and bent down to grab it. As I did, a small, white piece of paper slid out. It was folded in half. I picked it up, my heart thumping a little faster. I don't know why. But my first instinct wasn't to just hand it back to Lucas. I opened it. It wasn't a receipt for his new shirt. Like I half expected, it was a motel receipt. The kind of place you go to when you don't want anyone to know where you are. I saw my name on the receipt. No, not my name. A name that was almost mine. Alara, but the last name was different. And the date. It was from last week. The same night he was working late and I was sitting at home, waiting for him. My blood didn't run cold. It felt like it was boiling. My stomach twisted into a tight, hard knot. The world around me started to fade, the sounds of the baby shower becoming a distant hum. I just stared at the piece of paper, my eyes scanning over the details again and again. I shoved the receipt back into my purse, a frantic, almost panicked motion. I took a deep breath, trying to slow my racing heart. I needed a second. I needed to think. Lucas was still in the kitchen, oblivious, laughing with Ben. I couldn't just confront him here, not in the middle of a baby shower. Not with everyone we knew around. I walked back into the living room, a hollow smile plastered on my face. Hey, I said, trying to keep my voice even. I'm not feeling so great. Can we go? He looked at me, a flicker of concern in his eyes. Yeah, of course. Are you okay? I just nodded, my hand shaking slightly. Just a headache. Let's go. The drive home was silent. He kept glancing at me, trying to gauge my mood, but I just stared out the window. I could feel the receipt burning a hole in my purse every mile we drove. The knot in my stomach got tighter. I was replaying everything. The new shirt, the late nights, the way he'd been so distant lately. It all started to make sense. It was like a puzzle I didn't want to solve, and all the pieces were clicking into place. We got back to our apartment, and I just stood in the living room, my purse still clutched in my hand. He came up behind me, putting his hands on my shoulders. Are you sure you're okay? Elara, you've been quiet all night. I turned around to face him, the smile gone. The pretense was over. Where were you last Tuesday? Lucas, I asked, my voice barely a whisper. He froze. His hands dropped from my shoulders. What do you mean? I told you. I was at work. We had a deadline. I didn't say anything. I just reached into my purse and pulled out the crumpled piece of paper. I held it out to him. Then what's this? He looked at it, and for a moment, he just went still. I could see the color drain from his face, leaving it pale and drawn. He didn't even try to deny it. He just looked at the receipt, then at me, then back at the receipt, his eyes wide and vacant. Elara, I can explain, he said, his voice low and shaky. I just laughed. A bitter, hollow sound. Oh, can you... Because I think I get it. A baby shower. Of all the places for me to find this. You know, you're a real piece of work. Lucas? I wasn't hurt. Not really. I was just furious. He had made me look like a fool. He had lied to me, right to my face, for who knows how long. He had made me doubt myself, made me think I was being dramatic or too sensitive every time I questioned his late nights. He didn't have a chance to explain. I didn't let him. I just started yelling, all the frustration and anger I had been holding in for months just bubbling to the surface. He tried to talk, to say something, but I just kept going. I was yelling about the new shirt, about the late nights, about how he had the audacity to bring the receipt to a baby shower. He just stood there, taking it. I watched him, and I saw a different kind of pain in his eyes. It wasn't the pain of being caught. It was a deeper kind of pain. The kind of pain that comes from knowing you screwed up so badly. You can't even fix it. I finally stopped yelling, breathless and exhausted. The silence in the apartment was deafening. He just looked at me, his shoulders slumped. Elara, he said again, his voice raw. Please, I'm sorry. Sorry, I scoffed. You're sorry? For what? For getting caught. He shook his head, his eyes glistening. No, I'm sorry for all of it. For hurting you. For everything. I didn't believe him. Not for a second. It was just a performance. Another one of his acts. He was always so good at pretending to be a good guy, a good husband, a good friend. But it was all a lie. All of it. He left that night. He didn't pack a suitcase or a duffel bag. He just took his keys in his wallet and walked out the door. The silence after he left was even worse than the silence on the drive home. It was heavy, oppressive. It was the sound of a life ending. A few days later, a friend of mine, Chloe, called me. She had been at the baby shower, too. She was one of my closest friends. We talked about everything, or so I thought. I heard you and Lucas broke up, she said, her voice soft and sympathetic. Yeah, I said, my voice flat. I found out he was cheating. Oh my God, Elara, I'm so sorry. I let her say all the right things. All the things you're supposed to say when your friend gets cheated on. The whole time, I just felt a weird sense of detachment. Like it was happening to someone else. Like I was watching a movie about my own life. She asked what happened, and I told her the whole story. The baby shower? The receipt. All of it. And you just let him go, she asked. What was I supposed to do? Chloe, beg him to stay. After he did that, I don't know. Elara, it's just so sad. You guys were so good together. I just shook my head. No, we weren't. It was all a lie. He was a lie. And I'm done. The next few weeks were a blur of lawyers, divorce papers, and awkward conversations with friends and family. Everyone was on my side, of course. How could they not be? He was the bad guy. He was the cheater. I was the victim. I was at the grocery store, a place I had always hated but now found myself in out of necessity. I was just trying to get some milk and bread, trying to get through the day. I was walking down an aisle, lost in my own head, when I heard a voice call my name, Elara. I looked up. and my heart stopped. It was Ben, Brielle's husband. He was standing there, a cart full of baby supplies next to him. He looked different, tired. His eyes were red, and he had a 5 o'clock shadow, even though it was only noon. Ben, I said, my voice barely a whisper. Hey! He just looked at me, acid, knowing expression on his face. I heard what happened. He said, yeah. I said, trying to keep my composure. It's a mess, you know, he said, and his voice was low, almost a whisper. He came to me. After you kicked him out. He told me everything. I just stared at him. He told you. Told you what? That he was a cheater. Ben shook his head. No. He told me about the motel receipt. He told me about the baby shower. He told me about everything. And then he said something that made the ground disappear from under my feet. Ilara. That wasn't his receipt. My mind went blank. What are you talking about? The receipt, he said, his voice cracking. It was mine. Brielle's. It was a motel receipt from a couple of years ago. It was from a weekend when she said she was on a retreat with her friends. She'd left it in my car. I found it when I was cleaning it out for the baby seat. I just stared at him, my mouth agape. Ben, what are you saying? He just sighed, a deep, heavy sound. I'm saying she was cheating on me. She was with someone else. And she put your name on it. Or a name like yours, Elara. She'd been doing it for a while. I think using a different name on everything. My mind was reeling. I didn't know what to say, what to think. I'm sorry, Elara, he said, and a tear slid down his cheek. I'm so sorry. I know this is a lot, but I couldn't let you keep thinking it was Lucas. He's been living on my couch for 2 weeks, and he's been a mess. He said he was so scared that you'd find out and leave him. So he just didn't say anything. He didn't want to explain how he found it in the first place, or how he ended up with it. He just took it, because he was so scared of losing you. I just stood there, frozen. It wasn't Lucas. It was Ben's wife. It was Brielle. My mind was scrambling, trying to put the pieces together. The name, the date, the way Lucas had been so quiet, so hesitant. He hadn't been cheating. He had been trying to protect me. He's been trying to get in touch with you, Ben said, wiping his eyes. He said he's tried calling you, but you blocked his number. He's been texting you, but you won't respond. I just shook my head, tears streaming down my face now. I hadn't blocked his number. I hadn't blocked anything. I had just thrown my phone into the dumpster behind our apartment building the night he left. I just wanted to be done with it. Done with him. Done with everything. I just wanted to forget. I looked at Ben, and for the first time, I saw the true weight of it all. He was a good man, a good husband. He had loved his wife, and she had lied to him, cheated on him. She had used my name, almost my name, to cover her tracks. She had made me a part of her lie, and she had done it so well, so convincingly, that it had torn my life apart. I didn't say goodbye to Ben. I just left my cart right there in the middle of the aisle and walked out of the store. I got in my car and I drove. I didn't know where I was going. I just needed to get away. Away from the store. Away from Ben. Away from the truth. I was at the baby shower. I remember it all so clearly. The pastel balloons. The tiny onesies. Brielle's glow. It was all a lie. She wasn't happy. She was a cheater. And she had used me. Used my name. To cover her tracks. I drove past a motel. The kind of place you go to when you don't want anyone to know where you are. I saw the sign, and I felt a fresh wave of nausea hit me. I drove on, the world a blur outside my window. I was furious. Not at Lucas. Not anymore. I was furious at Brielle. At her lie. At her cheating. At her using my name. She had done this. She had put that receipt in Lucas's pocket, knowing he would find it, knowing he would be a stand-up guy and protect her husband. And she had done it all while pretending to be a good friend, a good wife, a good mother-to-be. I got back to the apartment, and it was empty, silent. I walked into the bedroom, and I looked around. His side of the bed was empty. His clothes were gone. His toothbrush was gone. He was gone, and it was my fault. I should have listened to him. I should have let him explain. But I didn't. I was too angry, too hurt, to even think straight. I just wanted to be right. I wanted to be the victim. I was standing there, staring at the empty side of the bed, when I heard my phone vibrate. It was on the floor, next to a stack of books. I picked it up. It was a text from an unknown number. Please call me, Elira. I need to talk to you. Please. It's Lucas. I just stared at the text. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to call him. I wanted to apologize, but something stopped me. A voice in my head. A whisper that said, it's too late. I didn't call him. I just sat there, staring at the empty text message. The silence in the room deafening. The next day, I got a call from Chloe. Her voice was frantic. Alara, have you heard about Brielle and Ben? No, I said, my voice flat. What's wrong? He left her, she said, her voice filled with a strange mixture of shock and satisfaction. He found out everything. He found out she was cheating on him. He found out about the motel receipt, about her lying, about everything. He left her. He told her he's going to Chicago. He said he's going to start over. He just left her. I didn't know what to say. I just listened to her, my heart pounding in my chest. She's a mess, Chloe continued, her voice lower now. She's been calling everyone, begging them to talk to him. She's been posting on social media about how she's so devastated and heartbroken, but Ben just blocked her. He's not talking to anyone. He's just gone. I hung up the phone, and I just sat there, my mind reeling. Ben had left her. He had left her and their unborn child. He had left her to deal with the consequences of her actions all by herself. I went on social media, and I saw her posts. She was posting pictures of her baby bump, with captions about unconditional love and new beginnings. She was trying to paint a picture of a single mother, a victim, a martyr. But I knew the truth, and I knew that everyone else would too. The truth came out, as it always does. Ben told some people. Those people told others, and soon everyone knew. Brielle wasn't the glowing, happy mother-to-be everyone thought she was. She was a cheater, a liar, a manipulator. Her perfect life, her perfect image, was shattered. Her friends, the ones who had been fawning over her at the baby shower, started to distance themselves. Her family was furious. She was a disgrace. She lost everything. Her husband, her friends, her reputation. She was all alone. And me, I was alone, too. But I wasn't a cheater. I wasn't a liar. I was just a fool. I never called Lucas. I never apologized. It was too hard. It was too late. I was too ashamed. I knew he was the good guy. I knew he had been trying to protect me. But I couldn't admit it. I couldn't admit that I was wrong. So I just stayed in the empty apartment, surrounded by the ghost of a life I had thrown away. I was alone, and I had no one to blame but myself. But I didn't blame myself. I blamed Brielle. I blamed her for lying. I blamed her for using my name. I blamed her for making me look like a fool. I sat there in the silence, and I thought about the baby shower, the pastel balloons, the tiny onesies, the glowing mother-to-be. It was all a lie. All of it. And in the end, she had gotten exactly what she deserved. I just sat there, and I let the silence consume me. I was alone. And I knew that for the rest of my life, I would be, not because of Lucas, but because of me. Because I had chosen to be, but I couldn't accept that. I couldn't. It was easier to be angry at Brielle. Easier to pretend that she was the reason my life was a mess. It was easier to blame someone else than to look in the mirror and see the fool staring back. I packed a few things, called a cab, and moved to Chicago. No, not Chicago. Let's say I moved to Dallas. A new city, a new life, a new chance. But I knew, deep down, that it wouldn't be a new chance. It would just be a new city with the same old me. The same old me who refused to take accountability. The same old me who would rather be a victim than a fool. The same old me who had, in the end, destroyed her own life and blamed everyone else for it.